So I'm so excited, everybody. It's Michael Fairman here, and I am with Heche, who's
Hi.
appearing on Dancing with the Stars this season. And it's been such a treat for so many of us who have loved her from Another World as Marley and Vicky, her daytime Emmy winning role, and all of her multi-motion picture, primetime roles, Broadway, everything that she has done. And to get to see her kicking up her heels on Dancing with the Stars is so much fun. I hope it is for Anne, but we will ask her to. But Anne, thank you so much for doing this. It's great to see
My
you.
pleasure. My pleasure. I'm so happy to connect. Are you kidding? With my fans from Another World, it's just amazing. But Vicky and Marley love have come a long way, or they are exactly where they were meant to be to begin with. Well, the inner showgirl is coming out.
The inner showgirl of which one is it? Vicky or Marley?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. You'll have to see depending on the dance.
And the dance. So talk to me about you, and you and I have been trying to connect to do this through this rigorous dance rehearsal schedule that you must have. So now that you're in the throes of it, have you second guessed your decision to do it? Are you
it happened the first week when you realize how much work it is, and really between the pros that are the dancers, who I call the stars. I'm like, they call it Dancing with the Stars as if we, the celebrities that are brought on, are the stars. It's not. We are dancing with the stars. We are dancing with the best of the best in the world. And to be able to have that opportunity is, first of all, flabbergasting, and it's unbelievable. I've always wanted to learn how to dance and was fortunately working. And as we all know, to craft something, to craft yourself, you must be focused, and you have to decide which part, if you're going to achieve excellence at it, you focus on. And for me, that was always difficult to focus. I wanted to do, of course, Vicky and Marley was my focus, and I would do 60 pages of dialogue a day between the two of them. And that really trained me. That has benefited me more than anything I could possibly say. I wear it with a badge of honor. The work that I did on Another World trained me for every single thing that I do, from spontaneity to craft to memorization to camera work to a split screen, which we did with Vicky and Marley, which was one of the first times it was done. Now everybody can do anything that they want with blue screen and everything. We didn't have that capability in the old days. So the things that we were doing, I remember when we would do a split screen, right? So Vicky would be here in the morning, and then Marley would be here in the afternoon. And I remember the day we went, wait a minute, what if Vicky's down here and Marley comes above the sofa? And we were like, oh my God, flipping this split screen so that Marley could walk in behind me or vice versa.
I just watched an amazing clip of you as Vicky and Marley.
Oh.
And it was after Marley's trial, and they have this huge confrontation, and just you and her, and then you acting against I don't know what, and then you, and all of it was so amazing.
How was I supposed to tell you? How do I break news like that? I am your sister, Vicky. You are supposed to be honest with me. I almost married Jake again. I'm sorry. I don't believe you in the way that you treated Jamie and me. I didn't do anything to you and Jamie. You dressed up like me. You told me that the only reason he cared about me was because I reminded him of you. But I already told you that that was all garbage, and I apologized. I pushed away my feelings for Jamie. I went back to Jake, and you would have let me, knowing what you knew about him and Donna. It wasn't like that. You tell me then, what was it like?
Oh my God.
I don't know how you did those.
Michael, I would love to see. I'm a very shy person, as you probably don't expect to hear.
But maybe shy when watching your work is what you're saying?
I didn't watch the show. Partly just timing. Well, there was no time. I worked probably anywhere from 17 hours a day to 24 at some points when they would do wedding scenes, and Vicky and Marley both had to be there. Like, oh my God. I would work through the night sometimes. Again, training. Incredible. But I have never really seen, like, Letterman has showed, of course, a couple of ridiculous clips and various talk shows, but I would love to see a scene that I did. In fact, it's funny, I only Googled myself the other day for the first time.
No, really?
I'm telling you. And I was like, wow, this is weird. And all this stuff comes up. And I'm like, no wonder I don't Google myself. Like, why would I ever do that? And then today, I went to dance rehearsal. And of course, there are paparazzi, okay, out. And now, after all of these years, I'm kind of beginning to fathom the importance of paparazzi, other than just being on a red carpet. Paparazzi is there. I've never gone after a popular thing for myself. I do my work. I tell the truth. I stand up for gay rights. All of a sudden I'm an activist. All of a sudden I'm blacklisted. Oh shoot, now I can't work in a movie anymore. The things that I've gone through, I have not processed through press, I should say, in terms of it being my meter. You think going to dance rehearsal, you put on some sweatpants and you go. No, you go to dance rehearsal. Not only are you met with 5 paparazzi and security, and you have to do the COVID testing every single day, and you're not allowed to see other dancers, and you are put into a studio with 9 cameras surrounding you at all times, recording you at all times. You put on a microphone. It is so I'm like, well, I better look good. I should try.
But were you when this all
like my band.
Were you so like, oh my God, what did I sign up? Because you're seeing how the machine works.
Week 1, I'm like, oh, truly, what did I get myself into? I've always wanted to train my body, but I didn't think that my mistakes would be shown on camera. Like, and I learned fairly quickly, but oh my God, you've got 9 cameras and what I call Oz, because there are loudspeakers that come on if they want to tell my partner, Keo, to ask me a certain question or do a certain thing or show us that part of the dance again because we missed it on camera 4. And you're like, I call it Oz. I'm like, oh, Oz is calling. And they, will tell you something. But yesterday I showed up. So I'm doing a dance called the quick step this week, which I have called the 2-step. And Keo's like, it's not the 2-step. I'm like, I'm still learning.
I can't be quick enough past the 2.
I'm not, right. I said, so clearly it's a slow dance. And Keo goes, huh? I said, I'm kidding. I'm like, I get it. Yeah, let's move. I didn't know it would be such a marathon. But I showed up yesterday in a beautiful dress that one of my designer friends had given me to use because it flows, and then the 2-step is a flow dance. If you look at Fred Astaire, Ginger Rogers, or whatever, when you look at the classic 2-step, it has this beautiful chiffon that moves, and the woman dances around. It's so pretty because the steps are moving and the chiffon kind of becomes this other dance that you do with it. It's so gorgeous. And of course it's Disney night.
It's so Disney night.
Princess. I arrived in a dress to be able to do it. Well, then today, the second time I've Googled myself. Heather calls me this morning. He's my PR partner. And she goes, well, you had a Marilyn Monroe moment, did you? And I said, what? And she said, all I have to say is thank God you were wearing underwear. And I wore this beautiful dress that would spin as Keo spun me. And
right.
Trick, and it goes under his legs. And he's like, you've got to wear a long dress. You've got to wear a long dress. Well, the paparazzi asked me to spin, and spin I did. And I think that might be the last time I look at Google for myself again.
That's it. You will not Google yourself.
I will wear underwear to rehearsal. Rule 1. When dressing for rehearsal for Dancing with the Stars, remember your underwear.
So Keo, how is he to work with?
Oh, he's just a dream. Oh, Keo and I.
You guys hit it off, right?
We did. We really did. He's a beautiful spirit. I would say in the soul of Keo, he wakes up a giver, and if I could have a reflection on my life, looking back from the things that mattered to me, if I could be called that, that would be how I would want to be remembered. I wake up and I want to give whatever joy I can, however I can. It's part of why I did Dancing with the Stars. And Keo really embodies that. And that's a very unique thing. He's a very young man and he's very good looking.
Wink. Now you danced the cha-cha in the first week and the foxtrot in the second week.
Yes.
So what was harder for you to do? Because you looked like you were enjoying it magnificently.
Thank you.
For the artists, which we all loved. It was like, you looked like, whether you were having a hard time, you looked like you were enjoying doing it.
Oh, I mean.
Or were you like, I don't know the next step?
Oh no, I mean, the thing about dancing is that it's a language that I don't know. Or I mean, and I want to know, which is why I'm doing Dancing with the Stars. And I want to know from the best of the best. And I have it. I have the master. And they're all, the pros are all masters. They're such extraordinary talent. I mean, it really is quite phenomenal. If I want to win this, I want to show, that's what I'm doing this more than anything, to be able to represent to my children, to people who we are, we're creative people. I'm 50 years old. I consider myself a performance artist more than I would an actress. When I work my body, I work to prepare for character, so that character can come into me any way. If I need to flop, if I need to be weak, if I need to be strong, but your body is the holder of that character. And that's not what we often think of as actors. Actors, we think, oh, well, we only see them usually in close up or a 3-shot or wide from way over there, but we don't look at it as a physical demand. And by the way, I wouldn't know if actors would necessarily agree with me on the demand that I put on my body to embody another character. So I have trained my body to be available to take in a character and then dismiss a character, void a character, bring it in, be whatever it is, and move it out. Well, very different than a dancer. A dancer is a dancer all the time. Very, very unique difference that Keo and I defined early on, because my whole training for myself is my ability to let it go and bring in something else. Fortunately, I have stamina, I have strength, I have flexibility, because those are the things that I make sure my body can be available for, because I don't know what I'm going to, even if I'm going to be a character who has an ailment, my ability to move my body can weaken one part of myself and not another. That's my training. So my availability to my body is part of my strength in this competition.
What did you think when you first went out there, you did your dance and you faced Bruno, Derek, and Carrie Ann? Were you like, oh my God, what are they going to say? Like, what did you think about their feedback? And were you like, oh God? Or were you like, how did you feel about being in that position of, now they're judging me?
Well, I hate judgment. I stand up for non-judgment. However, taking on this kind of game show criticism, I'll call it, is a key to how they want me to dance. So that's information, and that's the part of the intellect that comes in then, and how I'm going to move my body. But what moved me, you can't define a moment that's getting out onto that ballroom floor, and all of a sudden, you're on live television. How many episodes I did of Another World? Over 400, I think. It can't prepare you. I did Broadway. That's live, but I could control an audience. Part of my gift is that I could take in what that audience wanted that particular night and shape my performance. Not that I would change the performance or the blocking or anything, or the words or anything else, but that I could feel the energy of the audience, and I could move even a performance like Proof, a drama, and I could move it into a more comedic feel. If I had on a live audience, I could tell the second I stepped out on stage. Dancing with the Stars is usually done in front of a live audience. It's not this year. So you only have the other dancers as your audience. But stepping out, knowing the responsibility that I was taking on for Keo, that I was taking on for myself, and then that click, you get 4 clicks, bump, 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 and then you go, I don't know if you're going to be able to do it. And that is one thing I didn't know if I could do. And that's why I was saying to my children, like, you have to be behind me, because I don't know what this is, but it is who your mother is. I will go as far as I can possibly go as an artist. And that is what I claim. And that's my stake. You don't know what the heck is going to happen when you come out to do that cha-cha. But when Derek said, "You made me smile." You know what? That was my intention. That's why I'm doing this more than anything. Yes, I want to learn. I am here to entertain in a world where there is little entertainment that says it is alive, it is now, it is happening in this moment, and you can't engage in it. We can't feel each other, but you can look at my face and know that whatever dedication I have to this, I will do to the best of my ability. But I am enjoying that interaction with the audience that says, I am here to live in joy. And that is all I have ever been. That is who I am. And I've been given an opportunity to stand in front of an audience that is at home to be able to give without any doubt the one thing that I feel that I'm here to serve. And that is the joy with the interaction of the entertainment that I bring.
And your children, I love that your boys, your sons were in last week's. I mean, there was a
How
little
cute
moment
are
you saw.
they?
I mean, are they like all excited for mom, or how are they with this? Are they like,
Oh,
are they
so excited. So
okay?
excited. So excited. I mean, they are my team. And I did say to them, truly, I'm not doing this without you. I can't come home and not have. First of all, Homer was the first one I texted because he wasn't at home when I got the offer to do the show. And I said, "What do you think about me doing Dancing with the Stars?" And he wrote back 5 seconds later, "Yes, absolutely, Mom. Don't worry about it. We got you. Do it. It's amazing." And to have that vote of confidence. And then we called his brother together and Atlas, who's 11. And I said, "I'm going to do this, you guys, but that means full on commitment from, and I didn't even know how full the commitment would be. But Homer moved my 18-year-old who's going to Tulane in January and taking classes here so that he can be here for his brother who has to be at home for schooling. This is a whole new year for kids. School is at home. So all of a sudden, parents who have to work are in a unique position. So I knew that I could not be here for Atlas for his schooling like I was at the end of last year for him, where I was up at 8 o'clock every morning and getting breakfast and sitting through math class and doing the work. I, can't do that right now. Do you want to say hi? Oh, yeah. So I'm just talking about you. Funny that you should come out of your room. This is Atlas. This is Michael.
Hey, Atlas, how are you?
Good.
Are you watching Mom dance?
Uh-huh.
What do you think? She's pretty good.
Yep.
Yeah.
Although yesterday,
Your
showed
team,
him
your team Ann.
team,
Teammate.
yeah, Team AK. We're going all the way.
Oh, right. We're going all the way.
AK, we're better than okay. We're going all the way. But I did show him a little video because Keo.
I gave her tips.
Yeah. Yes. What were they?
What were the tips?
That she needs to be more in time with Keo.
Right. Right. It's true. This is my support.
Good pointer.
Yeah.
And she needs to be more open. Like she needs to be more out.
This is
You mean like outwardly
like outwardly outrageous, which is what dancing is. That was something I didn't know also about dance.
So many of the fans that love you from another world, when they saw that you were going to be in Dancing with the Stars, they're like, Vicki Marley.
Were they happy?
They were thrilled. They are so thrilled to see you. And interestingly enough, on social media, it's like, oh, she's the quintessential Vicki Marley. Like she's the. And what I want to say that I need to make sure you may know this. You are a daytime Emmy winner. You've won an Emmy. And when they introduce you, they say Emmy nominee. So the fans are getting like, they're on social media going, she's an Emmy winner. But Tyra Banks
to tell Heather immediately.
I want this fixed because they say Emmy nominee from your primetime Emmy nomination.
That's right.
But
I'm
they don't.
an Emmy winner.
But you won an Emmy, so you're still an Emmy winner. So they don't say Emmy winner. But what's interesting is, as we've talked, your daytime fans have your back because they're like, oh no, she's a daytime Emmy winner. They need to fix that. Like they were on it.
I love it.
The story that you ended up on the soaps, they offered you a part on As the World Turns, but your mom didn't want you to take it.
I was in high school.
Yeah.
In 10th grade.
So what happened there?
Well, my mother and I were living in a one bedroom, basically together. Well, we were living in a one bedroom apartment in Chicago, and we'd had a very, very tumultuous, let's say, for lack of a better word, 80s. My dad was one of the first men to die of AIDS in 83. It was named the gay disease called AIDS the day after my father died on the cover of the New York Times. 3 months later to the day my brother died. We were living in South Jersey in a place, a dry town called Ocean City. And it could not have been worse, really, for us. We moved from there at the time. And we talk about what's going on right now with COVID, are experiencing a worldwide pandemic. And what I see happening with people is their the emotional gifts we give each other to encourage each other in a day. Just even if we're in the line at the grocery store, we smile at each other, or somebody's kid does something funny, we laugh at it. But behind masks, we have been negated. There's a void in what happens from our eyes to our mouths. It really is like this. Well, it's half an expression of what we witness, see, our instinct to enjoy, see, and feel free. And now we're coated with a cloak of sadness, sorrow, loss, death, fear, uncertainty. I mean, there are so many different adjectives to describe it. And it is the feeling that we have that we, instead of wanting to engage, we're everything about us now, we're like tiptoeing through the tulips as human beings. When my father died of AIDS, there was a similar fear, okay, that was every single person in his life had it, and we didn't know how we could get it. So we became, and I was 14 years old, the lepers of the community. And my oldest sister, Susan, who has since died of a brain tumor years ago, 10 years ago, 12 years ago. She had moved to Chicago to be with Judson, her husband, who was a young, investment banker. But my mom had to go someplace, and my brother and sister were going to Christian college at Wheaton, Illinois. So we moved to Chicago, where people couldn't, but because we were ostracized. I mean, we were, not only were we poor, recently homeless, and had 2 deaths in our family. The deaths were most likely associated with AIDS. They told us that we had 9 years to see if we were really clean of AIDS. So at 14, I had 9 years ahead of me, where I thought if I touched anybody, I would be giving them a disease. That was 9th grade, 10th grade. Now I'm still on year 2 of 9. So I got offered a job on a soap opera, which I didn't even know what a soap opera was, and would have had to move my mom again into she was completely unstable, and I'm sure she would say the same. We're in bed side by side. We don't even have a bank account. We're getting phone calls from the tenement, basically housing, from downstairs. That's why we moved into the building, because they had a phone downstairs in the hotel that you could call up. We didn't even have a phone bill. We couldn't afford, we were in so much debt. My bed, the only time I had privacy was to walk into a closet and shut the door with the hotel room phone. It was not a way I could go to New York. Move into what more insanity could my life have brought me? That's why I wrote Call Me Crazy. Living in a life of a lie doesn't work. It doesn't work. But when I was in 10th grade, when and it was during the winter, because that's why the talent scout saw me, because she was landed in her layover, and because Daryl Hannah graduated from my high school, she called the high school and said, "Is there a play on tonight?" If that night did not happen, I was doing Thornton Wilder's Skin of Our Teeth, applying Sabina. If that night did not happen, my life would be completely different because a man named John Weitzel, who was the executive producer of As the World Turns, which was the first show I was offered, moved over to Another World for Procter and Gamble. And he remembered me, called me 2 weeks before I was about to graduate on the hotel room phone. Okay. Remembered and said, I remember your audition. And I'm John Weitzel. And I want to know if you would like to come to New York and audition for another Procter and Gamble show. At that time, I knew what a soap opera was. It's like learning the difference between a quick step and a two-step. And I said, you bet. You bet. And it was 2 weeks before I graduated. And then I missed my dress rehearsal of Fiddler on the Roof, which the drama teacher was horrid about with me. How dare you? And you're going to miss your dress rehearsal. I was like, or I'm going to miss my life. Okay.
Right.
I mean, hi, I think I'm willing to take the risk. Went to New York. He flew me back 2 days later. I got the job. I moved the day after I graduated. Went into New York, met John Weitzel at Avenue M Studios in Brooklyn. I walked into his office and he said, I know. You auditioned for 2 characters, but what you don't know is I auditioned you for 2 characters because you're going to play twins. And he's like, and by the way, that Bahama Mama t-shirt that you wore, obviously you thought you should repeat it because you're wearing it now again in your screen test. Yeah, now you're wearing it now. Get it off. Vicky's the sexy one, so go figure it out. Your first day, you're in a hot tub and you're talking to your dad because you've just lost $1 million. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, it's a bubble bath. Get down and don't make me regret this decision because I'm the only person who wanted to hire you. Don't prove me wrong. I marched down that hall and they squeezed me into some like nudist, like weird, like sausage casing. And I got into that hot tub bubble bath and over the phone met Cale Brown and my life began.
What was it like for you working with Tom Eplin?
I didn't know that there was another character until I was on the phone with Cale, like talking, and I'm like supposedly in Vegas, right? And I'm talking on this phone and I'm sausage casing, and I had a lot of shame weight on me, which is what I call it when you're not done, when you're not clean. So I was like bursting out all over. I'm like, I'm 17 years old. And I'm talking to Cale and I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. Well, in that moment, he's like, don't worry about it. You know, the other girl did like, don't worry. I said, the other girl. I'm on this old fashioned phone. And supposedly in Vegas. I'm like, what? I haven't even seen his face yet. I'm like, huh? Yeah, Ellen, you know, the one who won the Emmy for the twins. I'm like, wait, there's another girl who played the twins? Like, yeah, you're the recast. I'm like, so not only do I not know if I should be here, none of the audience thinks I should be here either because they were in love with Ellen. No, isn't it fun? Oh my God, I just realized how funny the universe is. Like, that was the first Ellen I encountered.
That was the first Ellen Wheeler. We're talking about Ellen Wheeler. Let's just
talk about Ellen Wheeler. And then they brought on Tom to play I mean, when that happened, it was unbelievable because, of course, Tom Eplin had moved to Los Angeles to go and be stars with Ellen Wheeler, and they were the time. I didn't even know I was a recast. That's how little I knew about soap operas. But Tom Upland's coming on. I'm like, okay, Tom Upland.
Because I wanted to get away from you and I screamed for help. But you know what you did? You put your hand over my mouth like that. And you stopped me from screaming is what you did. You stopped me. Damn you, you stopped me from screaming and you grabbed me and you pulled me down to the ground with you. You got yourself on top of me and you remember that?
Do you remember anyone there? Was anyone helpful to you?
Oh my God. Cale Brown, first and foremost, came after we finished that phone conversation. Then I met him on the studio floor. He became my surrogate father, to say it in the most simple terms. Then I met Anna Stewart. Forget about it. She's like, no, in soap opera, you're in cement blocks, basically. And then there's sets.
Right.
The cement blocks are your dressing rooms. You can have a single dressing room or you can share a double. Well, I was in a single dressing room. They put me in probably because they thought nobody would like me. And I meet Anna right after I meet Kale. And of course, they're the dearest of friends. And Anna's, I'm sure, gotten on the phone with Kale to go, how is she? And I meet her, and we just fast and furious fall in love. Within a week, I had moved into her dressing room. She would bring me chicken during the week. And I said, is this because you think I'm homeless? Like I was homeless? And she's like, no, it's because you've never had a mother and you don't know how to feed yourself. I'm like, oh, awesome. And we would sit and we would do, and they would come in and do my second character. Always at lunch, I had to change character, right? So I had to get the first one done so that I could go into the afternoon as the other. And Anna fed me, and she and I became, I just talked to her yesterday. These two, this family, another world became my family. I'd never seen or witnessed or experienced anybody who just liked me and wanted my success. And I mean, I actually didn't understand that when you see a TV show, there are sets. I couldn't believe that you could walk onto a studio floor and there would be like, there was the Hudson House, and then there was like a restaurant right next door to it on the studio floor that you could watch, you could look at, that the storytelling, that you didn't have to go somewhere and shoot it, but that it wasn't real. I didn't understand it wasn't real. That you don't walk into a disco and that's how you shoot. I had no experience of understanding what fantasy actually really was. And by the way, I lived in the biggest fantasy in the world, which was that my life was true, which it was not. I lived in a fake life until I was 14 and my father died. So this was a real conundrum for me. It's like, oh, you mean I come back after lunch and I shoot in the disco and it's right there? Like, we don't have to go anywhere. And there are 4 cameras shooting everybody, like, and Kale and Anna literally walked me through, nurtured me through. It was like a rebirth of what it was to be who I was, how they respected me, understanding where I came from, asking me where I came from. They are 2 very solid people in my life who helped me transform not understanding what it was to be cared for and nurturing me into being cared for. Those two.
What was it like? Do you remember winning the Emmy? The night you won the Emmy?
Well, of course, I decided that it was only college, so I needed to do 4 years, and then I was going to go to Parsons School of Design, and I applied and got a scholarship to go to Parsons. So I was ready to quit the show. And the producer, one of the producers, who, when I said, I have no style, I don't know what people are talking about when they say craft, she's like, just don't worry about it. Susan knew that I was leaving, and she handed me a book called Oh Pioneers, a Willa Catherine novel. And I go, what is this? And she's like, it's a book. You haven't been able to read one for 4 years, which I never could read because I was only allowed to read the Bible when I was a kid. And I got through high school reading some literature, but for 4 years, I couldn't do anything other than read my scripts and memorize. She handed me a book called Oh Pioneers, and I said, it just doesn't sound like something I like. And she said, well, you know what? You need to read a novel. And that was my last, that was on a Friday night. So it must have been 4:00 in the morning on Saturday, basically. On Saturday afternoon, I was at my house and I get a call from my agent, and they want you to go do an audition. And I go, I told you. She goes, I know you quit. You quit. You're going to Parsons. I know you're going to be a designer. Meanwhile, it's a Jessica Lange movie. And I was like, oh God, oh my God, Tootsie, one of my favorite movies. Oh. And she goes, and it's for Hallmark Hall of Fame, and it's called Oh Pioneers. I literally have the book in my hand.
So weird.
And I go, well, I guess I should pay attention. I got the job. I went to Nebraska. They moved all of my scenes to the end for Another World, and they condensed them into 1 week. So the entire show moved itself so that we would shoot all of Vicki and Marley and their departure so that I could go and do this movie. And I'm in a Motel 6. I'm not kidding. And I'm watching the Emmys and I win. And I'm eating a cheeseburger on a bed by myself in a Motel 6 in Nebraska. And they say she can't be here. She's doing a movie with Jessica Lange. Another thing I haven't Googled. I should probably Google when I want an Emmy.
Do you have the Emmy? Do you have the statue?
Well, I was so kind of shy to show anybody that my agent found it in my trunk. We go to do a thing, and she's like, "What is that?" I'm like, "She's like, is this your Emmy?" I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Oh, who would I ever show that to?" Like, no. My agent, Joanne Colonna, who I'm still friends with to this day, has it. I won an Emmy on a bug-infested bed in a Motel 6 in Nebraska, and at that moment said, well, with a cheeseburger in my mouth, does this mean I'm supposed to be an actress? And I moved. That was my experience of winning an Emmy. I wasn't there for it.
Oh my God. But it all was
and
a
I
sign.
did go to Parsons. I said, okay, I'll okay.
But it was all a sign because you were,
I've paid attention in my life to the open doors, and I've paid attention to the closed doors.
You've survived a lot.
Yes.
And you've done so much. And I just want to quote this because I think people don't realize what you went through with LGBTQ stuff and how you've really been instrumental in a way, and how things are different from when, there you were with Ellen on a
very grateful I was a part of moving the needle forward.
Yeah, and I know, and in the Mr. Warburton, I just want to read this quote you said about the Ellen: "Our time was a beautiful part of my life, and that I wear with honor. I was part of a revolution."
Badge I wear.
Yeah.
Honor.
Created social change, and I could not have done that without falling in love with her. And
that's right.
And I remember there was a whole thing about holding hands, or you couldn't go to the premiere. Remember, there were things you couldn't be two women.
I was told not to go to the premiere Volcano if I took Ellen. And I looked at the suits that were standing in front of me, and even Ellen said, "You listen to them, Anne, you can't go with me." And I said, "You would not be telling me this if I told you that my date 4 days after I met," this was 4 days after I met Ellen, by the way. I said, if I had met George Clooney and 4 days later I was taking him to a premiere, we would not be having this conversation. And this is the moment that I realized what discrimination feels like, because even Ellen is sitting here telling me not to go to the premiere. I lived through this, guys. You're fired. I didn't know what to say after that because there wasn't much else to say. But even Ellen was like, "You can't do that." I was like, do not sit here. You just came out last night, Tuesday night. This is Wednesday. You came out Tuesday night on Ellen, and you are sitting here right now, and you are telling me to not bring you to my premiere as my date. No thanks. It's my new religion. No thanks. I do not abide. So even Ellen didn't agree with me. Even Ellen was trying to tell me not to do it. And then it happened again in front of President Clinton. I put my arm around her. She said, "You are not allowed. You can't do that." I said, "I will not be discriminated against, my lady. Excuse me. The way that you feel that you have to be supported is one thing, but the way I feel love needs to be supported is another." And that is where Ellen and I differed, because I was not here to talk about the born into crowd. I was a person who stood up for the concept that love is a choice. And that is now what I feel very proud of, having established it. It was, I don't know if Ellen even knows it or thinks it, that was a different foundation than not being able to choose who to love. I was not about that message, although I support it 100%. Mine was different. It was just a little bit different because mine was the message that love is a choice and I can love whoever I want. So it was a miraculous thing to be told that not only could I not go to the premiere with Ellen DeGeneres for Volcano, but if I did, not only would I be fired from my multi-picture deal with Fox, the multi-million-dollar deal, which I was fired from, I would also not be given 6 days, 7 nights. And according to Ellen, which I didn't know about myself, I was the it girl, which is why she kept saying, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. You're the it girl. I'm like, and I do not stand for discrimination. I will never stand for discrimination. And at this moment, I'm realizing it in a tougher crowd than I ever have imagined before. Those are consequences. I went through consequences. The good thing that I have to say today is that the good far outweighed the bad, and I would do the same thing ever if asked again. Hopefully, I would be a little bit more open to the wisdom of the wise, but I didn't have those people in my life at that time. So I had to navigate those waters. I didn't know that when I was ushered out of my own movie by security guards and put into a limo and told, we don't need any pictures of you guys at the after party. The movie that was the #1 movie in the country that weekend. I was ushered out because I took a girl as my date. That would not happen today. And I feel very lucky that I am a person who helped move that equality forward a little bit. We got a lot of work to do.
And Alec Baldwin, he also, we were talking, was so instrumental because he brought you to Broadway, right?
Alec Baldwin said, I will not do 20th Century unless I do it with Anne Heche. And he won me my Tony nomination. He did.
Amazing.
Harrison Ford made me a movie star. Alec Baldwin made me a Broadway star. You don't get that in your life unless you are touched by the light of God. I will say that. There is no way. It's not a favor. It is an honoring that they gave me. Both of those men. She does not deserve any other understanding of her except for her talent. And they were storytellers in trying to set it right.
But now when you look back at Call Me Crazy, the original memoir, years later, are you glad you wrote it?
It's my truth.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, because a lot of
I want everybody to tell themselves.
100%.
Come to terms with your story. I call it the last name and the first name story. Okay. Your last name story is what you can control. I'm never going to be the Queen of England.
I was just going to say one of the other things in the Mr. Warburton interview, which a great piece on you. It was a really
what's beautiful, wasn't it?
It's a beautiful piece.
Second cover after Out.
I love the cover. That you look amazing. The shots are great. But they did ask you about Ellen and about what was going on with the backlash. And you said, I haven't seen Ellen in years. I would listen to the people.
I haven't spoken to Ellen in years.
Yeah. I think people were like, I thought that was an appropriate response. You haven't spoken to her, right? So you're not like.
I think I've seen her once out with Portia. Very soon, quickly after they got together. Of course, I was on Alan McBeal with Portia. So I knew Portia when she said, I would like to be you. And I said, well, guess what? If you want to go and find Ellen, as you will become the poster girl. But guess what, Portia? You will never be the poster girl I was. But you will lose your career and you will start living your life for another person who wants to control you. You can choose anything you want. I've never said this before, Michael, but by the way, I have no problem with it. Portia's suffering the same thing I did. And their life is being revealed. Truth always gets revealed, I believe. It's not mine even to tell my truth, mine to tell. But why, after 20 years after I broke up with Ellen, nobody understands why I broke up with her? And she goes, oh, I don't know. Why did she break up with me? Well, Let's think about it a second.
Are you like, is this 7 days a week Dancing with the Stars as far as
7
for
days a
you?
week. I train dancing. I train 5 hours a day. I come home and I work my muscle, but then I have 2 hours to try to figure out how to maintain that. And then the other 4 hours, I try to be a mom. No, I don't. I don't get to that
You
at
don't
all.
try. You're a great mom.
The other 4 hours is interviews. And he'll tell you, like Atlas lives here with Homer, but he never sees me. Did you see me today? Well, when? Saw me in the morning.
In the morning?
Hey, 2 p.m.
Yeah.
The morning is 2 p.m. for her.
Well, it depends when morning is.
Well, yeah. I mean, she's got her schedule so like rigorous, right? She's like, it's a tough schedule, right? Yeah. Are you helping her get votes?
What?
Votes.
Are you helping her get votes?
Yeah, he's like, my friend's calling. See him. Oh, good. Can you go get it? It's his brother. He's like, has your mom come home from rehearsal?
Is your mom home?
Is your mom home? I hope she's home because otherwise Alice would be home. He's like, mine.
And this has been so great to connect with
So
you.
fun, Michael. Thank you.
Honestly, and I wish you all the best on your journey with Dancing with the Stars. And of course, we all love seeing you act in whatever you do. So we'll all be rooting you on.
Well, I hope you're watching The Vanished too, because that's my movie out now with Thomas.
All right, Ann. Have a wonderful night.
Michael.
It's so great to talk to you.
Thank you so much, my angel. Thank you.
Bye.
Yeah, everyone from my parents from another world, I love you.